Did U.S. President Donald Trump ask an Islamic NATO ally to help protect American military bases from potential Iranian attacks? Pakistan's army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, reportedly flew to Tehran as Washington intensified efforts to bring Iran back to the negotiating table for possible peace talks. Was Munir's visit to Tehran connected to a secret phone conversation with Trump? And was Pakistan sent as an intermediary between Washington and Tehran? The diplomatic activity comes as Iran issues increasingly severe warnings, threatening to target American interests if the United States takes further military or economic action. Iran has warned that it could strike U.S. oil facilities, economic assets, and other strategic interests across the region if tensions continue to escalate. Could this represent the most aggressive economic retaliation plan Iran has ever threatened against the United States, with consequences for global energy markets and regional stability? Last week, Donald Trump reportedly spoke with Pakistan's army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, just days before Munir traveled to Tehran on Monday. According to two Pakistani sources familiar with the matter, the call was initiated by Trump, who personally reached out to discuss the growing tension surrounding Iran. Trump reportedly asked Munir to use Pakistan's influence with Tehran to help bring Iran back to the negotiating table and revive diplomatic talks. This request came after Trump had warned countries against providing Iran with any form of economic lifeline that could help the country withstand increased pressure. Meanwhile, Iran has threatened to shut down oil exports from the Persian Gulf as regional tensions continue to rise and the risk of wider confrontation grows. Munir arrived in Tehran on Monday alongside Pakistan's Interior Minister, Mohsin Naqvi, as Islamabad sought to engage directly with Iranian officials. Pakistan's military said the visit was intended to promote regional peace, reduce tensions, and support long-term stability across the region. Pakistan has also played an important mediating role between Washington and Tehran this year, using its diplomatic channels to encourage dialogue and prevent further escalation. Pakistan has continued trading with Iran despite recent fighting and rising regional tensions, maintaining important economic links with its neighboring country. Munir was expected to meet individuals close to Iran's supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, as part of Pakistan's effort to communicate with influential figures in Tehran. The deepening tensions between the United States and Iran were expected to dominate Munir's discussions during his visit to Tehran on Monday. Munir was also expected to raise concerns over Houthi attacks targeting Saudi Arabia, a close ally of Pakistan and a key partner in the region. Pakistan, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia recently signed a mutual defense agreement, creating a new layer of strategic cooperation among the three countries. Pakistan's earlier mediation efforts had helped produce an interim peace agreement in June, offering a temporary pathway toward reducing hostilities. However, the so-called Islamabad Memorandum later faltered after fresh fighting erupted between Iran and the United States, once again pushing the region toward confrontation. A Pakistani source said that both Washington and Tehran currently face a serious deficit of trust, making any renewed negotiations extremely difficult. Munir's central objective in Tehran was reportedly to reduce this mistrust and create enough confidence for both sides to consider returning to direct or indirect talks. Iran has threatened to strike U.S. companies if Trump moves ahead with his proposed economic D-Day campaign against Tehran. Iran's security chief warned that countries supporting Washington's economic campaign could also be treated as enemies, according to The Telegraph. Mohsen Rizoi said Tehran had so far limited its attacks to U.S. military bases during the ongoing conflict. He warned that Iran could target American oil and economic companies if Washington imposed a new round of sanctions. Tehran has not specified which U.S.-linked sites across the Gulf could come under attack if tensions escalate further. American businesses have expanded across the Gulf, with major investments and operations in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. Iran previously targeted Amazon data centers in Bahrain and the UAE with drones during the conflict, according to reports. Trump has threatened Iran with unprecedented economic pressure, including measures aimed at cutting Tehran off from global financial networks. Washington is seeking to sever Iran's remaining economic lifelines and use financial pressure to force Tehran back toward a deal. Rizoi warned that countries supporting Trump's campaign could also see their economic interests become targets for Iranian retaliation. The threats marked a sharp escalation in Tehran's response, widening the potential confrontation from military targets to American economic interests.
We believe that effective deterrence is built not through aggression, but by imposing unbearable costs on the aggressor and ensuring a decisive response that prevents its recurrence. We have applied this concept in this war.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said America was entering the endgame of its economic confrontation with Iran, signaling a major escalation in Washington's pressure campaign. In an op-ed for the Financial Times, Bessent vowed to cut off what he described as Iran's remaining economic lifelines and tighten pressure on Tehran's international financial network. Bessent compared the campaign to an economic D-Day, saying Washington would target the global networks that continue to support Iran's economy. He said the U.S. would go after buyers and transporters of Iranian oil, along with companies and intermediaries helping Tehran maintain its exports. The campaign could also target financial channels, commercial flights, ship registries, and fuel transfers that allow Iran to remain connected to global markets. Bessent warned that countries and businesses continuing to maintain such links with Iran could themselves face economic isolation from the United States. He argued that achieving total financial isolation could potentially remove the need for Washington to launch further military action against Iran. Meanwhile, Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority issued fresh warnings to ships operating amid heightened tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. The authority warned that vessels refusing to comply with IRGC-related orders could face fines, seizure, or even confiscation of their ships. It also warned that vessels cooperating with blacklisted ships could face additional restrictions on their future operations in the region. Iran Security Chief Mohsen Rizoi warned that countries supporting the U.S. economic campaign against Tehran could effectively be treated as participating in an act of war. Rizoi warned that Iran could respond by halting oil exports through the Strait of Hormuz and other routes across the Persian Gulf. Iran's Parliamentary Commission also reportedly approved a draft law that could introduce new service fees for vessels using routes through the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran said the measures were part of a broader response designed to impose what it called unbearable costs on any country taking part in the confrontation.
We believe that effective deterrence is built not through aggression, but by imposing unbearable costs on the aggressor and ensuring a decisive response that prevents its recurrence. We have applied this concept in this war. Throughout history, Iran has always been the focus and target of global powers' ambitions due to its strategic position, importance, and geopolitical weight in the region and the international system. The two recent wars have proven this fact. In the recent wars against the Islamic Republic, the violation of all ethical norms, principles, and humanitarian laws indicates the collapse and inefficiency of international institutions and organizations. These events have clearly highlighted the impotence and failure of international bodies and human rights organizations. Undoubtedly, this situation serves as a serious alarm for the global community. We consider strengthening our capabilities as the foundation for deterrence, neutralizing the enemy's will, and confronting those adversaries who have sought dominance over Iran or the region. Today, 2/3 of the subsystems, parts, and raw materials used in the defense industry's weapons and equipment are produced by knowledge-based companies and the private sector. Compared to similar weapons and ammunition used by our enemies in this imposed war, we achieved significantly lower production costs from an economic perspective. The final production cost of weapons, equipment, and military ammunition in Iran is 10 to 20 times lower than their foreign equivalents. As for our assessment of the defensive capabilities and the recent war on the Islamic Republic of Iran, every war, as you know, has strategic objectives. The declared strategic objectives of this war were regime change and the elimination of the Islamic Republic's defensive capabilities. None of these objectives were achieved.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.